tonight on the Final Play. The Saints defense and special teams ran away with the battle of future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We've got reaction to their emphatic win over the Bucs and analysis from Deuce McAllister.
How about this? They're 1-0. They're 1-0 in the division, and all three of their division opponents lost to them.
Plus, the Green Wave finished strong to erase an 18-point deficit while the Raging Cajuns ran away with a top 25 upset. Regular season football is back on Fox 8, and it starts right now.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Final Play. Sponsored by your local Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 43 years of truck leadership.
Welcome into the Final Play. I'm Juan Kincaid. The NFL season's underway for the Black and Gold, and what a season opener for them. Getting a first-hand, up-close look at Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs. Sean Vazan has our game recap.
With a capacity crowd of 0, the Saints opened their season in one of the strangest set of circumstances of all time, inside an empty, fanless, and stone-silent Superdome.
And it was different. I'm not going to lie. You run out, and obviously you're used to the energy and the emotion in the dome. The fans, obviously with each and every play, you're waiting for that fan reaction.
It was eerie, man. It was definitely uncharacteristic for sure. It was very different.
Just sort of felt like we were at a Tampa Bay game.
But once the game got going, early on, Tom Brady and his new team looked sharp. They went 85 yards in 9 plays with ease, aided by 2 pass interference penalties to take an early 7-0 lead. Meanwhile, on offense, the Saints struggled to get going.
Offensively, that was probably as bad a game as I've had as a play caller. Just trying to find a rhythm and a tempo that was awful.
But in the second quarter, the Saints found a groove and pay dirt twice. Both came from newly paid Alvin Kamara, once on a screen, the other on a run.
I felt pretty good, like I said, a little bit of a slow start, but, we got going and we were able to put some points out there and get some big plays. So I'm feeling good. Just happy to be back.
Defensively, the Saints adjusted and never looked back. Marcus Williams picked off Brady, while Janoris Jenkins did the same, but he finished his in the end zone to put the Saints up 24-7 on a play Jenkins credits to film study of Bruce Arians' offense.
Anticipation, communication, knowing what came early in the game and what's coming late in the game. You got to know that when playing defensive back. And me and Let, we very experienced. We talked about it and communicated it on the sideline, and it came.
But Brady and the Bucs battled back and cut the lead to 24-17. That's when Drew Brees audibled in the fourth quarter at the line of scrimmage and found Jared Cook downfield for a 46-yard completion.
Offensively, we had 2 3-and-outs, and we really hadn't managed that third quarter very well. So fourth quarter, we knew we needed an explosive play. We needed something just to get us going, and had the opportunity to check to a play that, felt like had some down the field opportunities, and Jared got behind the defense, and we got a big play.
A few plays later, Brees hit Emmanuel Sanders for his first touchdown as a Saint to go up 2 scores, 31-17. A face mask penalty on the Sanders touchdown gave the Saints a short kickoff. Thomas Morstead pooched it. The Bucs fumbled it, and Benny Fowler recovered. It was all part of a stellar effort by the Saints special teams, where Deontay Harris had some nice returns, while Morgus Hunt blocked a first-half Bucs field goal. So whether it was offense, defense, or special teams, in the end, all that matters is that the Saints are now 1-0.
I thought it was a great team win. We're going to look at the tape, and there's going to be plenty of mistakes in all areas of this game. And obviously we can get so much better in so many areas. But at the end of the day, it was a great team win against a really good opponent.
Joined now by Saints Hall of Famer, our own analyst, Deuce McAllister. Normally we're in the dome right now, Deuce, but we got to be socially distant. Let me get your thoughts first off on that. Dude, it was eerie inside that Superdome. It was so weird. The first was leading up to the game, and just once the game started, it took me about a quarter to really get into kind of the new dynamic of the Superdome.
I don't think that you can really, there's no way that you can prepare for it. And even though Sean had took those guys to the Superdome a couple times to let them get the feel for it, you still expect to see some type of people. And, it was funny, the inactive guys and the practice squad guys, they were the cheerleaders. And, I was messing with Craig, told him, you know, he was a hype coach. He was a hype coach to make sure that those guys are loud. It's just different. And even so, in that sense, you had maybe 3 penalties. I think it was 3 penalties, 1 false start offensively, and then 2 on the defense. One was even a hard count. Vita Vea and William Golson and Sue were in the neutral zone. So the Saints were the benefactor in that situation. But just in that whole instance, it was just weird. But, you know, I thought the guys were able to fight through it.
First drive, Brady looked sharp. I mean, he did. He had that nice kind of that drop-in, teardrop over route, whatever you want to call it, to Godwin. They get the 2 pass interference calls. The Saints had 4 on the day. They're aggressive man-to-man cover team. They're going to get that sometimes. But then all of a sudden, the defense really shifts and adjusts. And I thought the play, it probably won't show up on the stat sheet, but if you recall, it was a 3rd and 9. Scotty Miller runs an inside route, runs an inside slant on Janoris Jenkins. He catches it, and Janoris tackles him 1 yard short of the first down marker. And
they were backed up.
And they were able to score, and it felt like they got them in the rhythm. That was one of those underrated plays in this game that I felt like really kind of jump-started the whole team.
Right around the 29-yard line, they were backed up, and he made the tackle, and he was right there short of that first down. I thought that was a really nice play. You know, I thought the one player defensively that may not show up a lot in the stat line, or people may ask, who is that guy? I thought it was Trey Hendrickson. I thought that gave Donovan Smith so much trouble where it kind of shifted, because you know that you have a rookie over Wilfs over there on Cam Jordan and tight end helping, but him having that one-on-one, he gave Donovan Smith so much trouble. There was a couple times where Brady was just, you know, he's padding, he's looking, and he's having to step up. Now, maybe inside we didn't get the pressure that we wanted from our defensive tackles, but I thought that they got him off of the spot enough to kind of fluster him where he may have had a guy or 2 open, but it wasn't like he was just sitting in the pocket taking the time.
What did you make of the offense? Sean Payton said he was awful play calling. Drew said he could be better. Stats don't overwhelm you. But I felt like despite it not being a quote-unquote Saints-type offensive game, it felt like they were complimentary football. Like they scored when they had to. They made the first downs when they had to make them. They were able to get enough key plays. And I thought obviously the biggest play offensively was the 46-yard check off to Jared Cook, where he runs a double move up the sideline and Breeze is able to hit him. But what do you kind of attribute the way the offensive game flow in?
Slow, and I think it's really never gotten a rhythm. I thought that they would even give it the keys to Drew to let him call some stuff from the sideline just to try to find some type of rhythm. You know, it was always a hit and miss. One of the things that did get them going was when they put in a trick play or trick formation.
Yeah, and look, by the end of that game, you had clearly won that game. It was not a fluky win. You won. You beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You outplayed them. Certainly deserved to win the game. Special teams, phenomenal. Probably the unsung hero of this 3.5-year run the Saints have been on is how well the special teams have played. Today, you mentioned Deontay Harris. Then you get the blocked field goal by Morgus Hunt. We talked about Morgus Hunt, that height. He blocks passes at the line of scrimmage, and clearly he can block field goals. And then after the face mask penalty on Emmanuel Sanders when he scores, they have the short kickoff. They run the pooch. Benny Fowler recovers the fumble. So it's just like these special teams players that are good football players that are finding a role, and special teams played a huge role today.
Well, we're talking about 2 players that are basically on your practice squad. You know, those are 2 players that the Saints called up, and that's because of the new rules with COVID. And so both of those guys have NFL experience. You know they can contribute and make a team, but as deep as this Saints team is, they're using the numbers, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with those 2 guys going forward this week. And on that Coughlin corner kick, you knew what was coming. The Saints, that's something that they've practiced, and they'll put Morstead in, and he wants to pop that ball up. And it's a difference between getting the ball at the 25, kicking it out of the end zone, or we're going to pin you inside the 10 or 15.
Man, we said all training camp, at least the practice you and I witnessed, the secondary was legit. Didn't take long for them to prove it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a phenomenal day in run support. Janoris Jenkins, we talked about him with the tackle and obviously the pick 6. Marcus Williams on that overthrow. They did have those 4 pass interference calls, but Marshawn Lattimore, for the most part, shut down Mike Evans, even though it was chippy back and forth. But this secondary is legit, and this secondary is going to make some plays this season.
Well, the secondary is legit. The only thing that they have to continue to work on is communication. On the O.J. Howard touchdown, it was a communication issue, and whether, Malcolm was supposed to carry him or whether that was Chauncey Gardner, whoever is supposed to carry him. It's just some small things that they have to be able to work on and figure out.
Well, this one is done. The Saints got the job done. They are 1-0. Deuce McAllister, thank you.
How about this? They're 1-0. They're 1-0 in the division, and all three of your division opponents lost today.
NFC South leaders. Thanks, Deuce.
Thank you.
Deuce will have more for us bright and early Monday morning, 8 a.m. Black and Gold Rewind, 5 p.m. 2-minute drill, and at 10:35, the all-encompassing look at the game, the Black and Gold Review Show. Start submitting your questions right now using the Final Play app's Final Word feature. More Saints to get to here on the Final Play, including Chris Hagan giving us his take on what took place inside the Dome today. And we'll take a look at Joe Burrow's NFL debut as the Cincinnati Bengals battle the Chargers. And Saints fans who want to see their team spirit on television can head to the Final Play app, submit a picture, click the menu, scroll down to the Submit Your Saints Picks page, and from there, just follow directions. Tune in throughout the season to see your Who Dat passion on display.
You're watching The Final Play.
Here's the next 3 weeks for the Saints on the schedule. They'll serve as guests for Las Vegas's home opener next Sunday. September 27th has the Packers coming inside the Dome, and then it's a trip to Detroit to open the month of October. Before we get ahead of ourselves, Chris Hagan has more from today's game against the Bucs.
So much was made about the Saints' new additions, like Emmanuel Sanders, who certainly made his impact felt with a late touchdown. But one of the most impactful offensive weapons in the Saints season opener was a guy that picked up where he left off last season. Jared Cook was often in the right place at the right time, especially on that 46-yarder in the fourth quarter to set up the Saints' final touchdown. In fact, it became very obvious early in the game that he would be a go-to target when Breeze threw his way on each of the Saints' first 4 third-down conversion attempts.
Third down is an important down for us. It keeps the chains moving and it keeps us going. So you just always got to be there for number 9 when he's ready for you.
It's also a prime example of how naturally the connection flows between the two veterans, and maybe that indeed is a product of their combined 32 seasons of NFL experience. Breeze and Cook synced right away in training camp a year ago, and they continue to prove that that was no fluke.
I'm so confident with Jared. I think he's a great matchup, regardless of who's on him. Obviously his size, speed, and his ability to separate. Typically if he's getting safety and linebacker matchups, that's good for us.
Going forward, the goal is to get in that type of rhythm with everyone. That said, though, scoring 34 points on a day that Sean Payton labeled his own play calling as awful is a problem that a lot of teams would love to have. Reporting on the Saints, I'm Chris Hagan for The Final Play.
If you're looking for a leg up in fantasy football, check out Chris's Extra Point blog on fox8live.com and our Final Play app. From advice on who to start and sit to forward-thinking strategy, Chris has all of that for you. As for the Saints' next opponent, the Raiders, they were on the road at Carolina today. And this was a back-and-forth game with the Panthers needing a fourth-quarter rally. Teddy Bridgewater linked up with Robbie Anderson, this one covering 75 yards for the score. The Panthers on top 30-27. But that lead did not last. The Raiders' Josh Jacobs, he goes in from 6 yards out to put Vegas up for good. The Raiders hold off the Panthers 34-30. How about Joe Burrow's debut? His Bengals taking on the LA Chargers, and this first Cincy score of the game, courtesy of Joe Burrow, taking it in himself, 23-yard touchdown to put Cincinnati up 7-0. Skip ahead to the fourth quarter, Bengals down a field goal. Burrow finds A.J. Green for the touchdown, but it's called back. Pass interference, offense on the Bengals. They would settle for a tying field goal, but Randy Bullock pushes it. Joe Burrow's debut, an unhappy one. Chargers win it 16-13. Up next on The Final Play, Tulane kicked off its season in comeback fashion as they rallied for a win in Mobile. Garland Gillen will bring us a recap from the Gulf Coast. And Iowa State slept on Louisiana and got a rude wake-up call from the Raging Cajuns. A Week 1 recap is on deck on The Final Play.
You're watching The Final Play.
As far as season openers go, what a first weekend it was for Louisiana schools. First, let's begin with the Green Wave. Tulane for nearly 3 quarters against South Alabama. They looked like a team that hadn't done much tackling and was playing its first game of the season. Thankfully, it's a 4-quarter game, which gave the Wave plenty of time to wake up. Garland Gillen was in Mobile for the comeback.
Tulane struggled out of the gates in their opener against South Alabama, at one point trailing 24-6. But the Wave produced a furious comeback, racking up 21 unanswered points, stealing a victory in Mobile, 27-24.
Yeah, and we started hustling on offense, and I thought our offense looked like they had some good stamina, and we started getting some big plays, and the kids kept fighting along, and it's going to be a very good learning experience for us. I'm excited about that.
Our game plans kind of keep on switching up because, they kept on switching out the quarterbacks throughout the game. But, at the end of the game, though, you kind of know once you get up on somebody like that and there's time's ticking, you got to get after them. So that's what we did.
Great team win, It just showed the maturity of our team this season. We're a new team. We got a lot of new faces around us now. Just everybody bought in to the system, and it just give our heads off to Coach Fritz and preparing us the right way for this first game to battle through adversity.
At the beginning of the Wave's final scoring drive, Howard was 11 of 26 passing, but then he completed 3 huge passes to help Tulane get a win.
I was able to get the ball to my playmakers better. I think my guys been open the whole game, and I was able to just finally deliver the throws to them and make the catches better for them, the throws better for them to be able to catch it and consistent being a striver, continue to run with it. So I just tip my hats off to those guys and my old linemen for even blocking for me. The pad protection really started everything.
I thought he got better and better as the game progressed, and this is going to be a great learning experience for him. It's different when the quarterback's wearing a red jersey. It's totally different.
In Mobile, Garland Gillen, Fox 8 Local First.
One of the highlights of the weekend was Louisiana's first ever road win against a top 25 opponent when the Raging Cajuns strolled into Ames, Iowa, and just whipped up on Iowa State. The Cajuns dominated the 23rd-ranked Cyclones. Chris Smith had a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Not to be outdone, teammate Eric Guerra returned this punt 83 yards for another score. From the end of the second quarter on, the Cajuns outscored Iowa State 24-0 en route to a convincing 31-14 win. Meanwhile, LSU's first Tell the Truth Monday was last week, and it came 3 days after their first scrimmage in Tiger Stadium. So after correcting the mistakes that were made, the Tigers continue with their regular season schedule, which will continue to feature plenty of hitting. Head coach Ed Ogeron believes the more his team can hit in practice, the better prepared they'll be once they start hitting for real in the games.
Tuesday and Wednesday are heavy days. Monday's a light day. And Friday's full speed scrimmage. I think the only way to get ready to play football is to hit. And like I said this morning on the radio, you don't have to worry about these LSU Tigers hitting. We hit every day in practice that we can, but we also stay fresh. I think it's not a matter of if you hit or you tackle. It's a matter of how long you practice and how many times you do it. But we need full speed work. We had some missed tackles last preseason game number 1. But we got 2 more preseason games before a live game. Hopefully we can eliminate them. You're not going to eliminate all of them.
Coming up, saying goodbye to a legend.
Your play of the week, sponsored by Ron Austin Law.
Our Fox 8 play of the week is a look back on the NFL debut that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had for Kansas City Thursday night. The former LSU Tiger picked up where he left off in the national championship game, toting the rock 25 times, 138 yards rushing, which included a 27-yard touchdown run in the Chiefs' 34-20 win against Houston. And finally tonight, we want to pay our respects by recognizing greatness. After spending 81 years with us, 2-time World Series winner and Southern University alum Lou Brock died 1 week ago today. For so many years, Lou Brock was everything that was right about the game of baseball. He touched the hearts of fans everywhere, not just by the way he played the game, but how he handled himself both on and off the field. It didn't matter which major league team you supported, everyone knew who Lou Brock was. And when he wasn't playing against your team, it was hard to cheer against him. Before stealing bases became a thing, Brock was the king of it. 938 times he took 13 steps between first and second and arrived safely at his destination.
There were a lot of guys probably faster than him, but they didn't have the scientific protocol that would make him do what Lou did. And he did it with a great smile on his face.
Brock was special when he played and an asset to his university throughout his life. He led them to the NAIA championship in 1959. The first national title for Louisiana school at the time. And 1 year later, he became the first player from Southern University and from a historically black college to make it to the major leagues.
Anytime you're the first, you're a table setter.
60 years later, and today's players may not know who Lou Brock is, which is a shame because he's everything a team would want and need in both a player and a human being.
He was also a person that started a scholarship fund for kids from North Louisiana coming to Southern. I think he did so much, and that we at Southern need to recognize.
And perhaps former Southern head coach Roger Cater said it best when asked what he'd tell a recruit today about Brock.
Signed by the Chicago Cubs in 1960 by the legendary Scott, Buck O'Neill. The Cubs gave up on him, traded him to the St. Louis Cardinals for Ernie Brulio. And in 1964, he helped lead the Cardinals to a World Series, and then they go back in 67. And then he provided one of the most dramatic things in history because he became the prolific base stealer in all of Major League Baseball. So that's what Lou Brock did and what he meant to Southern University baseball. If you want to be good, emulate Lou Brock.
And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday night for the Final Play.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been The Final Play, sponsored by your local Southern Quality Ford dealers.